Hey, it's Hunt. You found Hunt on Saints. We're talking black and gold football. Do us a favor. Hit the like button, share your comments below, and hit that subscription button so you can get all of our content. Enjoy. It's been bad, and I really did not think that would be the case. Of course, they overhauled their backfield. You brought in Jamal Williams, who led the NFL in touchdown runs last year. You go into the draft, and you use a high draft pick on Kendre Miller, and Kamara's coming back off suspension, and you figure that though he misses the first few weeks, he's going to come back and have fresh legs and be ready to roll. And then you look at their offensive line, and you see high draft picks in Ruiz and McCoy, and you got an all-pro guy in Ramchick, and you see Trevor Penning, who, yeah, maybe as a left tackle isn't quite ready to be an elite pass protector, but certainly behind that massive frame can move forward, and the Saints should be a good running offense. And they just haven't been. Only 5 teams in the NFL are worse on the ground than the Saints this year. It's Seattle, Pittsburgh, Houston, Tennessee, and Minnesota. And I don't have a great explanation for it other than they're just not blocking properly. And if you were listening to Luke, because I know Jamal Williams can run. I know Alvin Kamara can run. I think Kendre Miller can run. And Taysom Hill can run a little bit, but I'm talking more so the traditional running game that provides an opportunity for traditional play action pass that is outside of Taysom's box. I love the Taysom packages. It just can't be that majority of your running game. So Dennis Allen was asked earlier this week by Luke Johnson, I believe, like, why aren't y'all producing any explosive plays in the run game?
I think there's a kind of a lot that goes into that. Obviously, you gotta be able to create some seams inside so that the runners can get to the second level of defense. And then, our ability to block out on the perimeter to, turn a 4 or 5 yard gain into a, 12, 15, 20 yard gain. So I just think it's just, being a little bit more consistent with, targeting, being a little more consistent with getting up to the second level, getting our running back started, and then, finishing off with those, last level blocks, on the perimeter.
And the follow-up was then pretty quickly asked, like, oh, so it's not guys missing holes or missing cuts. It's just not blocking it properly.
So it is more of a blocking issue then, you think?
Yeah, well, yeah, I think there's a lot of things that go into it, but certainly trying to get our runners into the second level of the defense without having to make any type without contact. Those are things that lead to the ability to get explosive runs.
The long run this year by the Saints is 20 yards, and as Luke told us in the first hour, that was by Taysom Hill. They don't have a running back that has carried the ball for 20 yards yet. We're halfway through the season. You can't bust one 20-yard run? That's unacceptable execution on the ground game, and it puts so much pressure on your pass protection, 1, and your passer, 2, to create big plays and to create sustained drives and to score points. Jamal Williams and Alvin Kamara are both averaging under 4 yards per carry. These guys have a track record of success in the NFL. It'd be one thing if they drafted Kendre Miller and handed him the keys to the car and said, hey, man, you're the run game. They didn't. They got Pro Bowlers that are supposed to be able to run the ball. And I know that both guys have missed some time. All 3 have missed some time. Kendre Miller's missed some time. But there's just not enough running the football in this team, and it can't all come from Taysom Hill. It just can't. And unfortunately, doesn't look like a great week to get it going. The Vikings defense is 9th in the NFL in yards per carry allowed. They're 14th in rushing yards allowed. But a lot of that came against Philadelphia and Chicago. Philadelphia ran for 259 on them, and it wasn't like Jalen Hurts did all that. DeAndre Swift had 175 yards in that game. Chicago, with Fields and Bagent, who are both fairly athletic guys, ran for 162 yards. Fields had 46 in that game, and Bagent came in and carried it for another 25, and then you had the Chicago running backs. The running defense for the Vikings gave up as follows: 73 for the Bucks, 30 to the Chargers, 80 to Carolina, 67 to the Chiefs, 65 for the 49ers with Christian McCaffrey, and 74 to the Packers. So it's just not a defensive front that's allowed a ton on the ground, and that's not a great sign. It makes your life so much more difficult when you can't turn around and hand it off for those easy yards. Well, I shouldn't call them easy yards. Those yards you would like to roll up. And look, the Saints, when they run for 100 this year, are 3-1. When they don't, they're 2-3. Pretty significant swing there. So hopefully they can find somehow in some way to get things moving a little bit on the ground on Sunday. That would certainly make things easier. Alvin Kamara met with the media yesterday, and this isn't directly speaking towards the productivity on the ground, but it was speaking to kind of maybe some load management with the veteran running back.
Just the three of you guys kind of balance each other out and snap counts. Like, do you feel like it's keeping you healthy here for the stretch run?
Healthy for the stretch? I don't know. I ain't never really had that. I don't really know about that as far as like load management.
Yeah.
I know that happened. Like that's what happened across the street with the Pelicans. Yeah, I don't know about that.
So look, he's going to be involved, and he's got to be involved. There are other ways to get Alvin Kamara involved than running off right guard. We know that. You can get him involved in the screen game. You can get him involved in the passing game, period. And then you've got Taysom for some other running ability. So the Saints' ability to use their backs and run the football is a little more versatile than some teams in the NFL. But they've got to find a way to do it. I'd love to sit, well, I wouldn't love to, but I could sit here and just blast Pete Carmichael and blast Derek Carr and blast the Saints offense for not being as productive as we think it could be and for not showing up in some of those early games with the defense when it was so great. But the fact of the matter is that Pete Carmichael and Derek Carr are fighting with one hand behind their back if you just run it for 2 yards a pop. That offensive line's got to be better. Now, they were better the last 2 weeks in pass protection. They have been. And that's awesome. That's the piece to this puzzle that needs to improve for the biggest improvement in terms of wins and losses. But they got to take the next step now. Andrews Pete, like, you're the left tackle. You got to go do it. Penning's not coming back. They're not throwing Hurst out there. Like, you're the guy. Ramchick's back from injury. You're not having to rely on Garcia. Like, it looks a little bit better now than it did 3 weeks ago, than it did 2 weeks ago. But they've got to find a way to move a push. If they can't, you're just putting too much pressure on Derek Carr. And if you were listening to Luke in the last hour, you heard that the Vikings blitz more than anybody in the league. You know when they're not blitzing? 3rd and 2, because you've run it for 3 yards a pop. You've run it for 4 yards a pop. You're consistently ahead of the chains. They're not going to dial it up and come after you. They can't. They can if you run it for -1 on first down, and then you throw an incomplete pass on second down and 3rd and 11 now because you couldn't get the running game moving to start the down and distance. I think that's where I'm pointed now. It was the offensive line kind of period, and there was some Pete Carmichael and Derek Carr. Now with this Saints offense, I'm kind of looking at this going, okay, I kind of feel like I know where this needs to improve because Carr's getting a little bit better. Shaheed's been great. Olave's going to be good. Thomas has been okay. Let's get the ground game going. We'll see if that can happen coming up on Sunday. Hey, it's on. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.